and welcome back to another Coffee with Laura. I, of course, am Laura. And for those who don't know, I get the privilege every day to help people build the bridge between where they are and where they want to go in their health and their life and help them rewire their mind. And it is super, super cool. So if that is something you want to learn more about, definitely let me know. But today I'm here to talk to you about why. Why do we do some things and not do other things? Especially the things that we want to do. I can recall client after client telling me they want to meal prep, they want to journal, they want to work out, they want to wake up early. The list of desires goes on and on. But when it actually comes to following through, our behavior doesn't always follow what we want. And we ask ourselves questions like, man, why did I not do that? But we don't ever answer it. And when we ask it with an attitude. We ask it without any intention of actually learning anything, but more just kind of being that inner parent and scolding ourselves. And it's really comical when I have clients come to me, like, I'm not going to scold them. I want to understand what got in the way. There's always a good reason why we didn't do something. Maybe you were completely exhausted and you were trying to, replenish your stores in a different way besides exercise. And I get that. Like, when I'm exhausted, I don't always want to exercise. It depends on the rest of my day. If I get to sit on the couch with my husband, stretching would be the closest type of exercise, or a nice walk. But I prefer to start my day with exercise to start the energy before I'm depleted. Now, that's just me. It's not for everybody. I get that. But my point being, two things. One, we ask good questions with the wrong attitude and with no intention of actually answering or learning anything. So why are we even asking the question? To make ourselves feel bad? It's a really a point. We do this all the time. We live in a culture that we're, naturally our own worst enemy, consistently berating ourselves, bringing ourselves down. We don't need to do it again from ourselves, So we don't actually get information as to why we're doing it. And because we don't get information, because we don't learn, we end up just repeating the same habits and patterns or lack thereof and getting frustrated. But little science, we have one brain, 3 brain systems, and the brain system that is responsible for motivation is called our limbic system, and it's literally called our motivational triad. And it has 3 objectives: conserve energy, seek pleasure, avoid pain. So why we are doing or why we are not doing has something to do with those 3 things. There is a perceived pleasure we seek to gain when we meal prep, when we journal, when we meditate, when we work out. But if the energy requirement and perceived pain supersede the perceived pleasure, guess what? We're not going to do anything. We are creatures of comfort. So more often than not, why do we want to do something and why do we not want to do something has a lot to do with what we find comfortable, and not even physically comfortable, but more cognitively and emotionally comfortable. Think about exercise. When we are depleted, we don't have the energy stores. It takes more inertia, more energy to move our body. So ultimately, we're asking for a greater deposit, making it harder to do. Or look at meal prepping. The idea of cooking for hours, most people are like, who the hell would want to do that? And I don't think anyone actually wants to do that unless they are a chef or they really, really enjoy cooking. I meal prep every single week, and even I don't want to do the cooking part. What I want is all my meals cooked for the whole week, where I don't have to worry about it and stress, and it just saves me time, energy, and that's the deposit I get. So the perceived pleasure far outweighs the perceived pain or the need to conserve energy. But if you're not doing what you want to be doing, that means why you're doing it is a little unestablished or unclear, or it's not for you as much as it's to create approval for yourself, which is not the same thing, because approval comes externally. Internal approval is something different. We typically call that validation. So when we're looking at why we're taking actions and why we're not taking actions, maybe we need to actually take it a step further besides just what do I want now? If we really zoom out, we get one life, and we are crappy about taking it for granted. It's not until, the later years of our lives that we actually start to really consider how to be different. When the aches and the pains and all the things catch up to us, that's when we start to consider how we want to be different. Now, I get that I'm not that old, but let me tell you, I've broken 9 bones and my body feels old. I'm 33 going on 84. So I already feel it, and that makes me nervous for when I am actually 84. To the point I'm investing more and more time now to try and prevent that, knowing that my actions today play a great toll in the long run. But we suffer from the paradigm of suffering. Paradigm of suffering is short-term consequences lead to long-term positives, and short-term positives lead to long-term consequences. So ultimately, easy choices make the consequences down the line much worse, and hard choices make the consequences smaller down the line. Makes sense, right? But that's not how we think. If we only have this one life and we're so disconnected from it, we don't even know what our purpose is. So many people think the purpose is to be happy. And if that's your purpose, by all means, go after it. I would totally have a conversation with you, because I think it's unrealistic to expect yourself to be all the way happy all the time, forever and always. But purpose tends to go deeper than that. So maybe it's not about what you want to do to begin with. It's how you want to feel, or better aligned, what is your life purpose and what actions would support said purpose? For a lot of people, making money and overworking is kind of one of the crutches of our society right now. I like money. I like making money, just like anyone else. But sometimes it comes at a cost. And sometimes the cost is our health. Sometimes the cost is our happiness. Sometimes the cost is our sleep. And I think the goal is to really find balance within that space. So if you're not doing what you want to do, then you're not listening to your whole being, or your reason for why isn't really yours. It has something to do with something else. There's an energy within all of this stuff. It's about recognizing the pleasure if you really want to be able to get yourself to do it. But nobody really, well, I'm not gonna say nobody. I would assume, based on my experience of all the people I've talked to, most people don't really enjoy waking up early. I don't enjoy waking up early. I don't enjoy cooking for hours. I enjoy what I get after I do it, and that's why I do it. We don't necessarily enjoy going to work. I mean, I do. I don't know if everyone else does, but I get to. They enjoy, other people try, I enjoy it too, where we get to make money after. I mean, I get to make an impact on amazing people's lives, so it's pretty freaking sweet. But I have so many clients who complain about their job, and they go and they work endless hours, even when their bosses don't necessarily ask them to. Why? Because they enjoy the money they get, and they understand it's kind of like a deposit for life's needs. If you're not taking actions the way you want to, if you're not following through with the actions that you hope will breed the life you desire, maybe you need to ask why, but without the attitude, and kindly listen to what's going on with your body, where your energy is, what the perceived pain is, what the, exchange, like there's a energy exchange, more or less. We can always get ourselves to do what we want. We're just very unwilling to be uncomfortable in the long run. But if you can learn when you don't do, and feel the pleasure when you do, and connect the actions with your purpose, then you're going to follow through with what you actually want. And I know that stress plays a role in this, but it all has to do with how we respond to stress and our awareness of stress. So if stress is your barrier, I strongly encourage you to take the free stress response assessment. I will tell you what percentage of each of the fight, flee, freeze, and fawn response you have, so that you can learn how to improve that. But See if you can get clear about the true why from a loving and compassionate space, why you do and don't do, and also maybe define what your purpose in life actually is and reflect on what those things, those actions, those habits you want to build, how they correlate or don't correlate with that purpose. But what I can tell you is beating yourself up and judging yourself and just speaking to yourself with an attitude isn't going to spark any change. So why? Because the pain and the energy is outweighing the pleasure. But how can you make it more pleasurable, less painful, and less energy so you can follow through? That is my challenge to you. But that is all I have for you this week. I always appreciate what you have to say. Let me know your thoughts below, and I will see you again next week for more Coffee with Laura.